Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com, is brought to you by RockAuto.com. All the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Motorhead Garage, presented by DragonfireTools.com. Just take a look at the lines on this 1949 Ford. This is owned by a friend of the show named Ron Harkleroad. He's building this car for his wife, Susie. In fact, the car is called Susie Q. In 1949, what an amazing era for the automobile. This thing is incredible. And talk about the music in 1949. Bing Crosby and Doris Day lighting up the charts, but look how you had to listen to it. One little speaker on the dash was all you had, and you're listening to it on AM radio in the first place, which, let's face it, that sounded lousy. Now, Ron has a few different options in regards to the stereo here as he builds this car. First, he can buy some aftermarket stereo that sounds great, but it won't look the part because it's going to stick out like a sore thumb on this vintage dash. You can try to find an original radio, and good luck finding one that works or one you can even afford. Or you can do the right thing, and it's the simple thing. You can opt for a stereo system from Custom Autosound. Ron's going to get a modern stereo that sounds great and looks just like a vintage analog radio from 1949. But this isn't just about looks and sound, it's about convenience. With Custom Autosound, you get Bluetooth, you can connect your MP3 player or your CD player, even your satellite radio, and no one will ever be able to tell by looking. Now, this particular unit is the USA 740, and of course it has Bluetooth capabilities, and it has 300 watt peak power, which should be all the juice you need. You can choose from several different colors and find the one that matches your vehicle's instrument cluster. It looks like an old analog display, but when you switch it on, it becomes an easy to read digital display. Really cool. Custom Autosound's not some fly-by-night operation. You don't have to worry. They've been around for nearly 50 years, and these are durable, high-quality units that are made to last. First of all, Custom Autosound's radios and speakers are made at the same factories that make some of the world's finest audio equipment. And every Custom Autosound model undergoes extreme temperature testing, a temperature aging test, and the super important vibration test, because after all, you're probably putting it in a hot rod with something mean under the hood, so you're going to need all that protection to make sure your radio survives all that kind of abuse. Before it leaves the factory, every Custom Autosound radio is hand inspected and adjusted by a technician. Now, Custom Autosound covers a huge array of vehicles, 400 plus applications in fact. They have an amazing variety of radios and speakers made to fit your budget and made to fit your vehicle specifically. There's 4 different models of in-dash radios, including the slide bar radio. And with the slide bar radio, just like the USA 740, you get a radio that looks just like an old analog radio when it's turned off. And when you slide the bar, you get a digital display that enables you to control every function of your radio. If you have a street rod or a classic and you want to leave the original radio in the dash, well then the secret audio radio is for you. The unit hides usually under the seat or behind the dashboard. You get your Bluetooth, AM, FM radio, iPod control, CD control, and it integrates perfectly with your speaker system. And I mentioned speakers already. Well, from door-mounted speakers to kick panel speakers to universal speakers and subwoofers, even speakers that secretly hide away themselves, Custom Autosound has you covered. Everything from Custom Autosound is made to last, and of course, it's made to sound great. Most important, it does all that while looking just like it came as original equipment on your classic vehicle when it was brand new. Custom Autosound makes installation incredibly easy too. Everything on the back is labeled, clearly labeled, not just colors that you got to figure out. It specifically names each wire and tells you where to connect it. And there's 2 harnesses, one for power and one for all your accessories. You plug both of those into the back of the unit. They snap into place. It's as simple as that. We've cleared some of the wires out of there, just put a couple washers on the front, and we also adjusted it to make sure it was the right depth in the dash as well. And once we did that, placing the washers on, we snuck the unit up behind with the washers there, put another couple of washers on to make sure the spacing was correct, tightened some nuts down to hold the thing on there, and then once I did that, I was able to use a socket to hand tighten it, and that's all the tighter you really need to make this thing. And once you run that down, the last thing to do was the knobs, and those look amazing. They look like the original chrome that came on the vehicles, and chrome is what made these classic vehicles back in the old days. And of course, that front plate really finishes the look on the dash of this 1949 Ford. Once again, over 400 applications if you go to the Custom Autosound website at customautosoundmfg.com. They have the radio for you, whether you're building a street rod or restoring a classic like this. We'll be right back with more Motorhead Garage presented by DragonfireTools.com when we come back, so stay tuned.